Hi, I'm Kate and I make junk journals, and today we're working on our 5-panel fold out and we are gonna do this page. This is tutorial 2 of a 5-part tutorial I'm doing for our 5-panel fold out. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then click on the link in the description for the first tutorial and then you can start from the beginning with us. Or if you don't want to make a 5-panel fold out, then come along and watch this video and you can just use these ideas for a single page or for whatever projects you're working on. Like all my tutorials, these are very concept based and you can use them in lots of different ways with any material and any style that you want. So however you want to make it is fine with me, and hopefully this will just inspire your crafting. So some of you know that I sometimes struggle with making sure all my equipment is working. So that might have happened today and I might have already crafted most of it. So I already have kind of built the structure of today's page right here without my camera on. And so I'm just going to grab this piece of paper that is the exact same except for it has my daughter's beautiful illustrations on it. And I'm just going to create it right next to it. And so just pretend that this panel is on this page. So before we go any further, let's take a look at the original 5-panel fold out that we're trying to recreate to see what we're doing today. Super fun, huh? It's a really cool page. So here is the basic structure already done. So we're just gonna remake it on here so you guys can see what I did. And I did add a little thing too. I got these little cards at Hobby Lobby and it's just a folded little card. You could even make one out of folding a piece of paper. And anytime it can kind of add even more writing space, I think it's really fun, especially when it doesn't add too much bulk. So if I just left this brown sack alone, I could write on it and that would be that much writing space. But now I can kind of write up here, I can write here, and I can write all in here, and I can write a card or a note and stick it in there and have even more writing space right there. So it really amplifies the amount of writing we can do by just adding one little simple thing. So this is my upgraded version, and we're gonna do this today. So the two things I'm gonna use today is an envelope. Any envelope that is smaller than this page will work, and some sort of sack. Anything that is a pocket will work. You can do these little candy sack ones or ones made out of paper. And if you don't have something like this or don't know how to construct one, you can just use a regular piece of paper and you just won't be able to stick a tag in, but still functionally it'll work just fine for this tutorial. So we're just gonna glue this part of the envelope to the back of this little bag. Keep in mind that we are gonna try to slip a piece of paper in there, so if that's not glued very well, it might be kind of awkward and kind of make it so it doesn't really go back easily. So we're gonna try to glue all the way to the edge just so that it's like a smooth transition when we put something behind it. So I'm gonna grab my Beacon 3-in-1 glue. I'm gonna put some glue right up to the edge of that and then kind of move it over and leave some space and then grab this and glue the very edge of this. And then hopefully by kind of doing both of those parts, it will give me perfect coverage. Or, you know, my definition of perfect, which is good enough. Okay, and we'll just kind of smooth that down, make sure that looks pretty good. And then just to make sure that this is extra smooth, I'm gonna take some washi tape and just kind of put that over there. And that will kind of help keep that edge down. And I'm actually gonna lift this. I didn't really do the top of it, so I'm gonna just kind of sneak some glue in there and press that down. Just trying to merge those two papers as best as I can. Okay, so now we're gonna take this and we're just gonna glue the back in an L shape right here and right here. And then I'm just going to turn this over and I'm actually going to kind of keep it a little bit more on this side of the page than that side. And that is just because I'm putting a card back here and I like to give myself lots of room for that card so that I can be flexible on size and kind of fill up that page and have more writing space. Okay, so this is all there is to it for the construction based off of the video. So if we want to do the upgraded version, I'm going to grab one of these little Hobby Lobby cards. And actually, instead of using this same card, I'm just going to use a piece of paper and I'm going to fold it in half, because that way, if you guys don't have a little card like this, you can just make it like that. And I could have made it a little fatter or whatever, but just some sort of folded paper that will fit right here is perfect. And I'm going to glue just 2 sides. And I'm going to make sure to leave this part not glued so that I can fit a card back there and that won't be glued to the back, preventing me from slipping that in. So we're going to glue here and here on the back side. And you can either let some of the bottom peek through or put it all the way down or whatever you think looks good. I kind of like the layered look, so I'm going to do it just like that. Okay, and now we are all caught up to what I did before. So we're going to say goodbye to this little demo thing and focus back on this. So now all we have to do is find cards for everything and then just kind of upgrade and embellish what we think is kind of missing. Okay, so I've gathered a bunch of papers and let's see what works. I'm going to put this little paper, I'm just going to fold it. That won't really fit. I'm going to tri-fold it to make that small enough to fit in this envelope. And then we're just going to stuff that in here. And then for this one, I have this little card I think will fit nicely, and we'll put that in there. This is a little bit too tall, so I'm just going to cut it somewhere right here along that line. Around the corners so it matches. Okay, and then that will fit in there. And then one of these should fit in the back. They might all be a little bit too big. That's too big. But I could cut this one down easily. I like the way that looks. That might be the winner. Or I could trim the edges of that, and that's a little too busy for me. So I'm going to go with this, and we're just going to cut it along that line so that it fits nicely on the page. All right, so now this fits nicely back there. Okay, so I love it. I love how layered and stacked that all is. Plenty of writing spot and secret little things. So when we close this envelope, it looks very blank. Now this could be a good thing if we're gonna write in it. If I wrote a cute little note and added something later or drew a little picture, it would look really great. So maybe you wanna keep it like that, or we could add more design elements to this front part. So am I going to embellish it or create more writing space? Let's just stick a belly band on it and we'll call it good. And just a belly band, not one that folds open. I can do this. Oh, speaking of restraint, you probably don't remember, but last week I was talking about how you could kind of just keep things folding open forever, and you could even like glue an extra paper and have things just continuously open forever. And that was like a really exciting idea. And ever since then, I've been starting to like think about creating just kind of like a ridiculous journal. So I'm working on that right now, and it is so fun. So since I'm kind of in that mode of like how far can we push everything, I do want to show a little bit of restraint because this one is supposed to be more practical, and because we have 5 layers, I don't want to layer it too much or this is gonna be just way too bulky for a regular book. But I can't wait to show you guys what I'm making, and when I'm done I will do a flip through video and I'll probably explain that one because it is crazy and it's so fun. Anyway, I'm digressing and getting distracted. Let's find paper. I like this. I love patterns like this because you can totally still write on them, but they add a lot of design and different colors, and then it's nice to introduce some blue since we've got some pinks and some greens. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So for this little belly band that I'm just gonna randomly add on here, I'm gonna just mark and cut a strip like that. And then I only need a little bit, so we'll just cut it at that line. Okay, so just some sort of strip of paper that's about the length of that. And because I do have this extra bulk down here, if I put this little band up here, then it won't compound that bulk that we have going on here, and it'll just kind of even out the page a tiny bit. So I'm going to glue a little bit here and a little bit here. And I'll just put that right there. And I'm just going to take this paper and kind of fold it and stick it in there. I like to put folded papers behind belly bands, especially like this, that are kind of loose. Because if I had just like a little piece of paper, it might like slip out easy. So if I kind of fold and not even press all the way down a piece of paper, then it's giving me some pushback. So it'll just keep itself in there a little bit nicer than just a single paper. Plus more writing space. So now that has a little bit more going on, and I keep telling myself not to add more, but I'm going to, because I have no self-control today. Okay, so let's do this thing that I just did in another journal, and apparently I'm too excited about it that I must do it again. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper that is a little bit shorter than my envelope, and I am going to line it up and create another pocket. Now, because this is divoting in so far, if I just glued the bottom, I would glue it to this or the back of this if I removed it and just kind of made it a non-functional envelope all of a sudden. So I am going to do both the sides and then just a little bit up both sides so that it will stop a card, but it still will be open in the middle so that I don't ruin my envelope. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So let's start with just the top and the bottom sides. And then just kind of guess measuring a little bit up on either side like that. So we've got little L's, little L, and we're just gonna put it right there and make sure we didn't get any there. Good, we are clear. And now we can stick another paper in there, and we have all this writing space, so we're just adding tons of stuff everywhere. Okay, so let's see if this paper fits right there. And that actually doesn't go down all the way. Do I mind that? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I don't know. How does that look to me? Kind of good, I think. Will that get in the way of my paper clip? Let's see. Okay, let's grab this cute little paper clip. And I'm just gonna take this whole thing even back down to that card and just put it all together. So it's like that. And I don't hate that. So we're gonna keep this little thing sticking out. If you don't like that, you can make it go in a little bit more. But it's still very plain, and I didn't ink any of the edges to give it dimension, so we definitely need to embellish at least a little bit. So let me get my cute things bucket. And oh, do you guys remember how much I love this die cut? And I'm always trying to look for more of these. My mother-in-law, Kathleen, has a die cut of its baby. Isn't that so cute? So anyway, my favorite flower has a baby, which is so cute. And I think I can do similar things with this one, just on a smaller scale. So that flower's baby can totally be cute on that page. Maybe we'll like stick a word on there. Okay, let's glue those on first. That's somewhere there. And that can go on top. Let's rotate that till it looks good. And then let's add something on this white part, just because that really gets white and blank. Maybe just a strip of washi tape. So I'm just gonna tear off a piece, and then we're gonna run this over the glue. That'll just help it stay more permanently, and I'll just put it on the bottom of that. I think it needs a heart. At least that is what my heart is telling me. And a word. Let's pick a phrase, a demanding phrase that tells us what to do with our lives. Remember to play. I do not need that advice, but the vibe is happy. I need one that says remember to work. Okay, so things are happening there, things are happening there. I'm just gonna leave that blank, and I'm just gonna leave that blank. We'll wait till I write in it. And this is blank, so let's fix that. Let's do I got lace or something? Let's see what I have. Do we like that? No, we don't. Come to me, perfect thing. Pink? Is that too pink? There's no such thing as too pink. Let's do it. Okay, so we have this, and I'm just going to glue that there. And then that will just give it some texture and make it look a little less forgotten. And again, since I know I'm gonna write on this, I'm imagining, words there, and that will also fill it up a lot. So anyway, look at us, we did it. Look at this cute little panel. And yes, we upgraded it quite a bit, but hey, that's what this is all about, right? At least for me, I guess. If I knew what I was doing before I did it, why even do it? That sounds boring. Okay, so let's just do a final little flip through so we can admire our little creation. Got that, that pulls out there. This goes there. This little pocket, that little pocket, this little pocket, and that opens there. So that is pretty fun. And like I said before, you can put that in lots of different journals, and it doesn't have to be on a 5-panel page, but it is pretty awesome on this hardcore heavy-duty page. All right, we did 2 out of 5. We are moving along. So thanks for crafting with me today. This was fun. If you made something from this project, be sure to tag me. I'm on Instagram, and you can find me at Kate's Junk Journals. And it has been so fun to see what other people have made. And if you're interested in seeing what other people have made from my tutorials, I'm starting to create a highlight reel so that you can see other people's creations. And that has been so much fun for me. I love it so much, and I love to see what you guys make. And it's just really cool because I put these out there in the world and they kind of disappear and people say they're doing them, but when I actually get to see them, it is so fun. So thank you to everybody who's posted them, and thank you so much for all the amazing comments I've received. And thanks for subscribing. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on your notifications if you haven't already. If you have any questions, please send them my way. And speaking of questions, it's time for a little Q&A. So I've gotten several requests for quite a while to show you my craft area and kind of go through my organization and kind of show you how I have things laid out. Now, sometimes my craft space is actually super clean, but usually not while I'm filming tutorials. So I've been putting this off for like over a month because I'm like, oh, and then when it's clean, I'll do it. But then when it's clean, everything's put away and I'm not doing tutorials. So today I decided you're just gonna have to see it how it is, and that's probably okay with you, but it's a little embarrassing for me. So let's go through my space and I'll show you kind of how I have things organized. So as you can see, we're just in my bedroom. So I don't have a craft room and I'm really limited on space. So until I have more room, this is how I organize everything to try to keep it confined and organized. But I really hope someday I can have a better space for this and I'd have more room for more things and I would organize it a little differently with that luxury. When I first started, I had like 4 or 5 different just boxes that I would put stuff into under my bed, and I would keep it all under my bed, and then I would pull it out and I would sit on the floor and I'd work from the boxes and just cover my floor with crafting, and then I would put them all back in the boxes and clean it up, and then that's how I worked because I didn't have space to do this. I did that for about a year, and then I got this craft table from IKEA, which allowed me to kind of get some drawers and kind of expand, and I was able to kind of organize it a little differently, and now I can kind of keep more stuff because there's a place for them. So there's this book that has really helped me when it comes to organizing and managing my stuff, and it's called How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind by Dana White. I listened to it on Audible, and she is like hilarious and lovable, and she's like my best friend, even though I don't know anything about her besides her 2 books that she has. But she talks about the container concept, which is you can only have the amount of stuff that your container will fit. So that's really like my philosophy in organization is I have a box for certain items, and if I have more stuff than will fit in the box, then I have to get rid of some stuff. Now, I do a lot of swaps, and I like to give people a lot of things, and I have a sister and a mother-in-law and a niece who love to junk journal, so I can give them some stuff if it kind of overflows, but usually I use it up and the pace of my stuff rotation is pretty good. So it's not a huge problem. So, but yes, just to make sure I don't ever feel too overwhelmed with stuff, I just stick with the container concept and make sure that that stuff fits in that container. And that goes with the space too. So this desk also serves as a container in that I can only have the craft storage and supplies that fit on and below this desk. And by fit, I mean like fit nicely and not shoved in. And that way, as things spill out and it gets messy, it's all manageable and I'm able to clean it rather quickly, and it's systemized to where this really works for me and it's never a headache or too hard. Someday I would love a whole room full of all the supplies in the world and be able to have tiny little drawers of everything my heart desires. But here's my system for now, and I'm gonna show it to you even though it's not as beautiful as it can be when I really clean it. Okay, so I'm gonna switch you over to my camera phone and give you the tour. Okay, so this is kind of what you're used to looking at, and this is kind of my vantage point. So up here I have my tool board. I got this from IKEA, and I just have easy grab tools here, my glues and some pencils. These are projects I'm currently working on that I can just put up there. And then these 2 little shelves, this is for any hardware like beads and buttons and just like little metal things. And these are like little tassely, chunky keys and, you know, whatever else is kind of clunky. Here's my inks and my little ink blotter. Down here are some tools that I want to just kind of grab at that don't really fit up there. My corner rounder, this little die cut thing, my scoreboard tools, and I keep these little flowers here because I'm trying to keep track of how many I have left. And just, I'm always looking for them and wondering how many there are, so I put them there. Here are my washi tapes. These are supposed to be brads and safety pins, but it is getting overrun by stuff a little bit. Here's my eyelets, here's my bookmaking stuff. This is all the paper clips, and these are the clasps that I use to make the books. Anyway, here I have some die cuts, and then right now these are empty, but I will someday have a use for those. And there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be put away. That's where I keep my sewing machine so I can slide over and sew and then slide back here. Here is my envelopes, this glue. I always put it there when I'm working, but it lives there when I'm not working. So here's all my different envelopes that I can pull from, and then this bag of string and or lace and stuff is right here. Okay, how am I doing? This is a little complicated to talk and hold things and try to point a camera, so maybe this was a terrible idea, but we're just gonna keep going with it. So this little drawer set is something I just got. There's 2 little ones and 1 big one, and I just got them all from Walmart, and I like these little ones because the drawers come out, so I can just pull the whole thing out and work from a drawer and then just put the whole thing and then I'm done. I kind of organize it in what stage I am, kind of the things that I want to look through. So I have my cute things box, and it's just any sort of decorative, cute embellishment that really serves no purpose other than cuteness. And so there's not a whole lot of functionality in this stuff, but it's just my cute box. Here is all my stamps and stencils, and here is doilies. Don't even know why I have a whole drawer full of doilies, but somehow I ended up with that. So I do like to use them, but I should probably use them more so that I can use this drawer for someone else, because it does seem like a lot of dedicated space to doilies. And then here I have anything that is vintage ephemera. So it kind of is vintage cards and ephemera, and I just kind of put anything that I like that's more of a vintage style, because I'm not really working with that now, in there, so that whenever I want to do a vintage project, I can just pull that whole box. This is any sort of like cards or like, you know, flash cards, playing cards, anything that is kind of like a tag or a card, but it's just this in its blank form, and I haven't done anything to those or put writing space or decorated at all. So it's just kind of like vintage real stuff that needs to be repurposed. Then here is my tag collection. So most of these are complete tags ready to be put in, but some of them are just like potential, like that's a good shape and I could round the corners and stick something on there and I would use that as a tab. So it's like almost done or complete tags. Then here I have cards and stationery, scrap writing paper, and scrapbook paper. And below I have these tubs. So I have this top one is just scrap paper. So I just, anytime I cut a piece of paper or I have like a little paper, I just throw it in there so that I can just rummage through it and grab stuff. This is my blank writing paper supply, things that I put into the journals as like pages. So like coffee dyed paper, tea dyed paper, avocado dyed paper, just normal notebook paper, different textures of paper, just stuff like that that are whole and not like my scrap ones, but things that I can use for actual pages. And then this lovely drawer is my napkins and tissue paper that I like to pull from. So we'll just stuff that in there and pretend that's beautiful. Then we have this box, and this has all my book pages, and it has some ledger pages and any sort of non-scrapbook, not blank writing paper pages I just have in there. And I have some categorized into folders, but most of them are just kind of in there, and I can thumb through that when it's time to make a journal. And then here I have these 3 boxes that kind of stack where that trash can is, and the trash can is supposed to be over there a little bit more. But I pulled these out, and what these are is, one of them is for some of the vintage scrapbook paper and different themes that I'm not currently using that I kind of want to store away, but I really like and want to keep. And then I have 2 that are just to share. So one of them has more papers and one of them has more ephemera and cards and stuff. And these are my sharing boxes. So when I have kids come over, we can craft from this. I can let my daughter do it. And they're really great pieces, but they're just stuff that either don't fit my style or I don't have a purpose for, but I love them and I think they're cool, so I want to create with them. So I just have them to share, to give, to swap with, and for my nieces and my daughter and stuff like that. So that is all my crafting stuff. Oh, and I guess I lied. I also have, this is for mailing stuff, and that is my sewing box. So I guess those two things are kind of included in this. Anyway, but that's everything I own. That is how I store it. And I hope that wasn't too hard to watch because I'm not a very good multitasker. So did the best I could. Hopefully that was semi-entertaining. And who knows, someday when I have a whole craft room and beautiful drawer system, I can look back at this and be like, oh, remember how it used to be. But this is so much nicer than when I was just working out of some boxes under my bed. So I've come a really long way, and so far I really like this system. It really works well for me. So hopefully that satisfied those of you who wanted to see my craft area, and it was actually really fun showing you guys. So thank you guys so much for your questions, and I'll see you next week.